Let's talk about subjunctive. Let's specifically talk about my learning strategies to get through subjunctive. If you're learning Spanish, you know as well as I do, it's like the monster underneath the bed. And for me, it was like hitting a wall. I knew I got to push through subjunctive in order to become fluent, in order to get to the advanced level. So this is a project that I really wanted to tackle. Rather than continuing to hit my head against the wall or faking my way through it, hoping that I'm going to pick it up eventually, I created an intensive 28-day plan. I've got a trip to Cancun in 28 days. So I want to give you the progress that I've made on the first week of this plan. Part of the strategy with this plan was using Google Gemini to both create a plan and to create the exercises I needed to push through. I'm not going to gatekeep this. I want to give you all the prompts that I had, and I'll leave them in the comments below. I don't have all the answers, and I'm just practicing Spanish. I'm just learning. But come along with me for the journey as you watch me make very messy mistakes, because that's how we all learn. I will use flashcards if I have to. I think they're a very effective tool, but I think they're very limited in what you can do or how you can adapt them. I think spaced repetition is a really, really valuable tool. That's where you have flashcards and it gives you the words that you know, kind of marks them off the list, but repeats the ones that you get wrong or the ones you struggle with. I found that really effective, but you have to do it every day in order to have it produce results. So this is where AI comes in, because AI can do a very similar thing, but it's a little more adaptable. You can set up quizzes, you can set up fill in the blanks, you can set up multiple choice, you can do flashcards. And the best part is AI really doesn't get tired. So I used Google Gemini to build some prompts and create some guided learning experiences. Now, the first prompt I use is to create this 28-day plan, and I even asked it to give me prompts for every day of the plan so I had an idea of the direction that I was going. We started with just conjugating verbs, and that's all I've done this week is practice on conjugating verbs. And we divided it into 3 different sections. We had regular verbs, we had spelling and stem changing verbs, and we had irregular verbs. Now, each prompt, what I did was asked AI to create an overview, a little bit of a study guide, a brief, if you will. So I could look at that document and say, okay, I kind of understand the general concept. And then we started working through multiple choice quizzes that it would create for me. Now, this is the cool part, is it could keep repeating those until you got tired. And then I would ask it when I'm done to give me a report, to give me an overview on my progress. And it did a really detailed job of saying what I was good at and what I needed to work on more. So I could store that knowledge and incorporate it into future prompts as I kept practicing. I also tested Google Gemini's phone features where you can use your voice rather than type, and I found it really engaging. But I'm going to be honest with you, I found ChatGPT's ability to speak Spanish better than Google Gemini's. I thought there were some huge pronunciation problems. So I didn't use that tool as much as I wanted to. In addition to the overviews, I used a little bit of ChatGPT's or Google Notebook LM's process where it would create an audio podcast. And those were pretty engaging. But they were a little bit long. But they also have a new feature where it can create a video that is kind of loosely based on a narrated PowerPoint that kind of walked me through the process. I found that really engaging and effective. So today was the day I wanted to prove if this week's work was working. I set up a class with one of my Baselang instructors, and for a half an hour, she threw sentence after sentence at me to have me conjugate subjunctive verbs. And guess what? It seemed to work. It was messy. I'm not perfect at this. There's a few irregular verbs that I really struggled with, but I was starting to understand some of the rules involved when you need to change the stems in the verb. And she even stopped and asked me once, did you know that? And I said, yeah, I knew that you have to kind of change that one around. It's the very irregular ones that I was still struggling with, but we have a plan to get there. She gave me one really great advice that I'm going to incorporate into my 28-day curriculum, and that is to focus on one verb per day. And we'll start with the regular ones and move into the more irregular ones, but use that one verb in as many sentences, as many opportunities as you can through the day. So having a verb of the day is going to be in my 28-day plan. This is the high school homework part that I was talking about. These are the drills and the conjugations and the memorization and the hard work that I just have to do to get through this process. I think the important part here is I got a solid, personalized plan that I can adjust along the way to help me through the process. My next steps are pretty clear. I need to continue working on conjugations and memorizations. Now I need to start working on triggers of subjunctives and starting to use those in sentences. And then I need to add my verb of the day to help start conjugating that in different formats. I'm at 197 hours left until I get to the 1,500 hour mark, which is the next threshold in the Dreaming Spanish progress. I'm still doing a lot of comprehensive input, listening to podcasts and watching videos every day. I try to get at least an hour of videos in per day. That 1,500 hour mark is just an estimation, and your mileage may vary. So if you're like me and occasionally you space out during those videos, you may have to do some extra time in order to become conversationally fluent. So, what's the hardest part that you've had in studying subjunctive? Leave me a comment in the box below and let me know how you're doing. As always, subscribe to follow me along on this 28-day journey to learning subjunctive in Spanish.